So we got the translation for the new One Punch Man chapter, and with it I think we're getting a huge revelation, because I think it's revealing the origin of Heroes, Blast, and freaking Drive Knight. You're probably thinking, wait, what? I know, but let me cook. So in this new chapter, we're seeing a flashback that is 15 years from the present time in the story. We see when Blast met Empty Void. And in this flashback, Empty Void reveals that Blast, at this time, was being backed by Sitch from the Agoni Foundation and a genius scientist. So this is really interesting because Agoni is the guy who formed the Hero Association. And like I said, this flashback is 15 years before that. So Agoni was doing hero stuff for a very long time. Also, that's about as far as it goes right now. We don't know too much about Agoni and Sitch, other than they just were collaborating with Blast for at least 12 years before the formation of the Hero Association. Now, another little interesting thing here is a quote-unquote genius scientist was working with them. That's also as far as that goes. This genius scientist is not named in this chapter. However, he is mentioned again. So later on in the flashback, it's revealed that Luna, aka Maya, the sister of Empty Void and wife of Blast, was killed. Apparently, she was targeted during a battle with a powerful avatar of God and died. However, Empty Void also says that the timing of it is weird because her research into investigating Blast led to her investigating the secret scientist that was working with Blast, Sitch, and the Agoni Foundation. And he speculates that this possibly had something to do with her death. So let's just cut to the chase. I think that this secret scientist is Metal Knight, Dr. Bafoy. Why do I think that? Well, there's not really a lot of candidates, and I think that it's most likely him, given that he is already with the Hero Association. And, you know, he's definitely a genius scientist, probably the smartest of all of the technologically based scientists in the series. And I always thought that this was a possibility because of Blast's information in the One Punch Man Encyclopedia. Now keep in mind that this came out like 10 years ago, and we didn't know anything about Blast at that point. Pretty much just that he was the #1 ranked hero. But we kind of just get this testimonial from Fubuki, who doesn't even give her name. And it said that there are many powerful heroes, and the one who sits atop them all is Blast. We were able to obtain the following rumor from a certain individual, privy to only the highest ranking members of the association. According to testimonials, Blast is an Esper who commands trillions of robots. So I always thought that this held some kind of water because it is coming from Fubuki, who is the sister of Tatsumaki, and we know that Blast saved Tatsumaki as a child and had a recurring relationship with her up to the current day. So Fubuki would probably know some stuff, right? And that, of course, is the reason why I always thought that Blast was some kind of Esper or something. You know, there has to be some kind of explanation to why he has the abilities and powers that he does. But this other little comment here about commanding trillions of robots never really made sense to me because we don't ever see Blast with robots. But if it is true that this secret scientist working with the Agoni Foundation is Dr. Bafoy Metal Knight, then that makes sense. And it makes me think that one had this plan the whole time, at least just this portion of Blast's origin. So if this is Dr. Bafoy, then that means that he is aware of the God Cubes. And I say that because Blast started looking for these cubes 20 years before the first chapter in the story, which is 5 years before he meets Empty Void. It's also mentioned by Sitch in chapter 173 that at this time when he first started looking, that Blast had many other collaborators, not just Empty Void. And they were all searching for the mysterious cubes that could turn humans into monsters. And that it had been handed down over time as a kind of communication device with this god that some would call a type of opart. He had been collecting them and together with his collaborators attempting to analyze them. When we look at this panel, we see that the cube is encased in like a technology incubator thing, which very possibly came from Dr. Bafoy Metal Knight. So if Bafoy was aware of these cubes, then I think it gives more credence to my theory that he is responsible for the creation of Drive Knight. Yep, That's right. I can't go over everything in this video because it would run on too long. However, I already made a video about this. It's called Drive Knight is the Mad Cyborg. It's like 30 minutes long. I go way in depth into that theory, but it ultimately boils down to Drive Knight was the son of Dr. Bufoy. And something led to Dr. Bufoy having to turn him into a cyborg. It probably parallels the story between Genos and Dr. Kusano. There could have been an accident, or it could have been voluntary, or Bufoy forced it on him, or something like that. However, but I also think at this time, Bufoy may have been experimenting with the cube that he had found. But instead of like making a deal with God or talking to him, maybe he was trying to reverse engineer the cube or trying to extract some kind of energy or power from it. And I think while he was doing this, one way or another, it interacted with the creation of Drive Knight. And I think that that led to Drive Knight becoming one of God's top disciples, as I have been talking about for many years now. And yes, this also parallels to Cyborg's origin in the Justice League movie. No, I don't think one was inspired by that. I just think that it is like parallel thinking. Now at this point, I just want to quickly go into some spoiler stuff for the webcomic. So if you haven't read that, just keep in mind you will be spoiled because it pertains to future events of the manga. All right, so as we recently found out, Dr. Bufoy did recover the body of Boros. He has like his quote-unquote corpse. I don't know if he's still alive. Possibly he seems to have low signals of life or whatever in a incubation tank thing. And since we're talking about Bufoy possibly having access to a cube or something, it's possible that Boros may come into contact with this cube and become an avatar of God. That's right, we might get Cosmic Boros. Now that's just one possibility for Boros. I do think it's more likely that the organization is going to find Boros and then turn him into their ultimate cyborg, which will ultimately lead to a connection to God anyway, but I just wanted to put that out there because, man, that would be cool either way. Hey, but real quick guys, you should check out Gamer Supps in case you haven't already. They're a great energy supplement that can help you with gaming, studying, or anything that really you want to do. They come in caffeine and caffeine free, and they also have nootropics in it like L-theanine, L-tyrosine, and choline L-bitartrate. So it's not just, you know, regular caffeine. It makes you really feel good and focused. If you're looking for a tub to buy, check out the new flavor Nuclear Bombsicle by Casio. It tastes just like a bombsicle. This is already one of my favorite flavors. They also have these awesome sus bars, which are only 100 calories and only has 1 gram of sugar and 8 grams of protein. My favorite flavor is the chocolate. I cannot get enough of these things. They also have gamer tea in both caffeinated and non-caffeinated. I personally really like the caffeine-free sleepy time with theanine. You can also get some of these awesome gamer soups, which I absolutely love. So guys, check the link in the description and make sure to use code BIGZ for 10% off. Thanks guys. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this one, guys. Let me know what you think about all this craziness in the comments. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I just needed a little inspiration to tap back into the old Zhoniin, and this chapter definitely gave it to me. If you liked it, please give it a like and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.